Hi everybody, this is a video response to the Spring Court's request that I make a video about negative automatic thought tracking. I touched on this a bit in my last video about what I'm doing with my therapist, and so I thought it would be a good idea to share this with everybody, but this is by no means any kind of professional advice, and if at all, you should seek a real therapist who has been trained in CBT. I'm just passing along information that I'm getting in my own therapy, so please don't take this as professional advice, okay? Alright, so in my last video I talked about my own negative automatic thought tracking and countering it with rational responses, but it's taken me a bit to work up to the rational responses. But basically, what you do, I started with very bare bones. When I started, I had a journal, just a regular notebook, and I just started writing down my thoughts whenever I noticed that I was having negative thoughts, like I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I'm useless, I'll fail, and I just wrote them down. Very easy. I just wrote whatever I was feeling at the time. So you start by writing down your negative automatic thoughts. And sometimes it will be a long list. You can see this whole piece of paper is filled with everything. I have pages of this, so obviously I have a lot of negative automatic thoughts. But you start by doing that, and then if you can, write down the situation that triggered these thoughts. So was it going to a party and you were nervous about people thinking you were weird or strange or ugly? Or was it, like in my case, school? Was it going to a class and not having a paper done or feeling stupid? Was it the class that triggered it? What triggered these thoughts? In my case, sometimes I don't have anything that triggers my negative automatic thoughts because with my generalized anxiety or disorder, I will just worry about everything. So it doesn't necessarily have to have a situation that causes it, but if you can think of something that did, that's good. And then after that, you want to write down your emotions. What are you actually feeling? Are you feeling anger, sadness, loneliness, anxiety? And then if you can, rate those on a percentage or a 1 to 10 scale. Whatever you can. Like in my last video, I mentioned that I was feeling anger 90% and anxiety 80%. So I percentaged those. I gave them a ranking. And then after that, you want to start working on the rational response to your negative automatic thoughts. Now, there's a lot to this, and like I said, I'm not a professional, but there's things such as cognitive errors. I'm not going to touch on that today because, quite frankly, I don't really understand it, and I'm working with my therapist tomorrow to go over these, so maybe I can touch on these a little bit later. But basically, a really generalized explanation of what cognitive errors are. Are you overgeneralizing? Are you saying, oh, if I get a B in this test, then that means I'm a failure and I can't do anything right in my life. I'm going to fail at everything I do in my life. That's overgeneralizing. You take one aspect of your life and you blow it up to everything, which is my problem. I do that a lot. I catastrophize. Then there's things like ignoring the evidence. Okay, I got 1 C and I might feel like I'm a failure, but I got A's and everything else, but I'm ignoring that. I'm choosing to focus just on that C. So that's a cognitive error. Personalization. People take things and make it their fault that aren't their fault. Things that you can't control. That's personalization. And there's a lot of different ones of these. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 different ones, and I don't understand them, so I'm not going to really go into these. But you can kind of see, if you can figure out if your thinking is what are you doing in your thinking? Are you overgeneralizing everything you do? Are you taking the blame for things that aren't your fault? So if you can kind of observe that, so when you start your rational response, You start with identifying your cognitive errors if you can. I can't, and you really should be working with a therapist on this because I have no idea. Then you want to write a rational response to your automatic thoughts. So let me get my other papers. I just had my cat in here and she was laying on them. So, okay. I said, this is an example of mine. Okay, so my situation. I was sitting in the park thinking about someone I'd like to be friends with. And I started having negative thoughts about this. I thought, I'm such a boring girl. She would never want to be my close friend. I'm not interesting. She's got better friends. I'll just talk about stupid stuff. She lives too far away and she's too busy for me. So my emotions, which is the next column, I was sad, lonely, and disappointed in myself. I didn't give these percentage rankings because this is right after I started doing this, so I'm slowly working myself up to all the things I'm supposed to be doing. But you get an idea. Then I countered it with rational responses. This is a really hard part. It's taken me 3 weeks to work up to this, and everyone else on YouTube I've talked to is having the same problem with this. Rational responses, when you have a lot of negative thoughts, are really hard to think of. And you will often counter your rational responses, and then you'll have to think of rational responses for those negative thoughts. So it can turn into a weird downward spiral, but it's good to try. And my therapist said, if you can come up with rational responses and keep doing it, just keep doing it, eventually you can trick your brain into just automatically doing it. It's a training exercise. But anyways, my rational responses to these were, you had a good time at the concert. That's true. We went to a concert together and we had a wonderful time. So I'm obviously not boring. We had a great time together. So you really connected with her on the car ride. We had a really close, meaningful conversation. So that counters my belief that she would never be my close friend, because we've already shared things with each other that only close friends share. You have a lot in common. We liked the same band. We always like the same music and TV shows, and we just laugh about a lot of things. She asked you out to a concert that one time. She asked me out to a different concert before I took her to the other one. So she was already asking me to go out and do things with her. So that means that she wants to be my friend. You make her laugh, which is true. I make her snort. You can plan something once a month. That's my counter to she lives too far away or she's too busy. If I just plan something once a month, that's feasible and something we can adjust if things come up, and it'll still be a meaningful connection and we can still be friends. And so then the last column after rational response is the outcome, and that's if you had a fear of going to a party or something like that, or like, for example, I was thinking about contacting her. Did I contact her? I haven't contacted her yet, but if I did, or if I were too afraid to, I would write that in the outcome. When I wrote down, should I contact her, I put my fear level at 90%. Now, after reading my rational responses though, I feel a lot less fear about doing that, and I might contact her to do something. So, and keep reading your rational responses. Always go back to these. I can't tell you how much help it is to go and read these after I've written them, when I'm out of that mood. Like when I'm in a good mood right now, going back and reading these are making me feel really good about it, and my rational responses make so much more sense. So keep reinforcing it, keep rereading them, and keep making more. So, situation, your negative automatic thoughts, your emotions attached to those negative automatic thoughts with a percentage or ranking if you can, your rational response to those, and then the outcome, or even if the outcome is just your feelings afterwards. So in the one I said last time, my anger reduced to no anger at all, and my anxiety reduced to 15%. So that can be in your outcome column. How are you feeling after your rational responses? And keep doing it, because it's really important and it's really good brain training. Like I said, I'm not a professional and I've just started doing this, and it's hard. I'm not trying to make it out to sound like it's easy, because I'm having a really difficult time with it, especially identifying my cognitive errors and sometimes in believing my rational responses. Even coming up with rational responses are hard. My therapist told me for every negative thought I have, I should have 2 rational responses in order to reinforce it. So it's hard and it takes a lot of work, and that's why you take baby steps. I just started out writing down my negative automatic thoughts, and then I started adding more. And it's a process, and it's hard, and it takes a long time. But if you can work with a therapist or a psychiatrist doing this, it really helps. At least it's helping me right now. So that's my video on negative automatic thought tracking, and I hope that helped. Take care.